Welcome back to Philip's Hot Rod Garage. All right, so I had a guy drop this little Mustang off with me earlier in the week. He just wants a couple little small things done to it. It's a 66, little 6-cylinder car. Car looks real good. It's a nice car, but he's got a couple of little things that he needs took care of on it. So let's just go ahead and dive right into this thing. I'm gonna show you what we gotta do. We'll see if we can get this thing knocked out for him. All right, guys, so as you can see right here, we got a bent up front valance. We got a brand new one to go on it. There's just no reason to spend a lot of time trying to straighten this original one out. And I don't even know if this is original. This could be a replacement one already. But either way, there's no reason to spend a lot of time straightening it out because these things are really cheap. They don't cost very much. It would take more labor for me to straighten this thing than what this panel's worth. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and paint a new one and go ahead and put it on. And then we gotta do one more little project. Let me show you what that is. All right, so his complaint is about the e-brake, emergency brake, or parking brake, whatever you want to call it. And as you can see, it's definitely not working because the cables are nice and loose. That's definitely not going to work. But before I get started on those brakes, I want to go ahead and pull the old valance off because I want to go ahead and pre-fit the new one to the car before I paint it. Well, that was just barely on there. Those weren't even tight. So I was trying to see if the socket came out of the housing, but it doesn't look like it does. So that means I got to pull the wiring harness out with it. I was hoping the socket would just pop out of the back of it. So time to fish out that wiring. And it goes up through a grommet up there. So I'm trying to gain access to those wires right there. But it looks like they are going to be behind this piece right here. And I don't really want to take all that off. So I'm going to try something different. I want to see if I can possibly get these wires to drop down. Oh yeah, the grommet came loose. Now, is there enough slack here? Hopefully there is. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. That one's not hooked up. And the plug will not come through the hole. It looks like there's another piece in there, another plastic grommet or something. I'm gonna see if that'll pry out and this might come down through there. Hopefully it will. There we go. There we go. Perfect. Now I can unplug it. Yeah. There we go. Just like the other side, that brown wire is not connected. This one is. There we go. was hung up over there for some reason, but I got it. All right, so there's the old one, and there's the new one. As you can see, they are shaped quite a bit different since that one's all smashed. So one good thing is that from the looks of things, that is already an aftermarket panel, so we're not going to be throwing away a nice original one. So no reason to beat on that thing and save it. Got a brand new one. All right, so before I put some paint on this thing, I think I'm going to go ahead and try to test fit this thing up onto the car and make sure that everything's going to fit correctly, and make sure I'm not going to have to slot any holes or, you know, have to do any bending or twisting or anything to get this thing to fit right. I want to go ahead and test fit it now before we get that paint on. That's always the best way to do it. Yeah. All right. I think it's going to work. I'm going to have to do a little bit of twisting, a little tweaking here and there. I think that'll work. I think I'll go ahead and put all the bolts back in it. All right, that's pretty good, guys. Well, that is definitely not fitting. Let me show you guys why. All right, so when you look up in here from the inside, you can see that the bottom hole is a long way off. The top hole is also a long way off. The whole thing's got to go up some more, but it's hitting the panel above it. And right there is the problem. See where it's hitting? Right up in there. So what's got to happen is this panel right here has got to be bent out some. So this piece will tuck up in behind it right here. So that's got to be bent out. You can see it's not quite out as far as the fender is right there. So it's definitely got to be bent out some. So let me do that, and then maybe I can get it to fit up there. All right, let me try that now. And this is the part that people don't see when they take their car to a body shop. They think these parts just go up on here and fit like they should, but they don't. This fender actually has a buckle in it right here. It's actually bent, and it has a crack right across here. This is not what I'm going to be repairing. I'm supposed to be just painting this panel and putting it on. So what I've got to try to do, you can see the fender's got to go in, because the panel is already bolted up on the other side, but it's not going to reach over here. So I got to try to get this fender to go over some. So what I got to try to do, get something to pad this pry bar, and I'm going to go in here behind the bumper, and I'm going to try to bend the fender in right here where this buckle is, and hopefully then I can get it to line up. pretty good now. It's pretty good. All right, so there it is, bolted up. That looks pretty good. I got no problem with that. You can see up through here where I added that bolt hole up top. You can see how far off it was. You can see the bottom one too. Let's take a look from the inside. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that, guys. I think that looks pretty good. So we're gonna go with that. And that hole's lined up good enough that I'm not going to put a bolt in it. That one's lined up. And that one's lined up. And that one's the same way. That's good enough. No reason to put a bolt in there. This side here is lined up real good. This one under here, no reason to put a bolt in that. Lines up pretty good. And here it is on the passenger side from the inside. Those bolts line up good. And guys, that's why I always recommend to go ahead and fit the part to the car before putting the paint on. I have people that ask me all the time about replacing parts. They'll ask me, can you just go ahead and paint it for me and then I'll just stick it on? No, it just doesn't work that way. You're going to end up scratching it all up trying to get it to fit. So the best thing to do is go ahead and fit it to the car so you can do any drilling that's necessary, any slotting of any holes or filing. I could have had to have ground down the edge of the panel. You saw I had to twist and bend on it a little bit to get it to fit in there. There's just a lot of work to do to get these aftermarket pieces to fit, so you want to make sure you get them to fit before you put the paint on. That's just the best way to do it. So I think what I'm going to do now is go ahead and snatch this thing back off, and tomorrow we're going to prep it for paint and get it ready to put back on for the final time. Once we get it bolted back on, we will put the lights back in, hook the wires back to those, and this little project to be finished. Then all we'll have to do after that is work on those rear brakes. So let's get this thing off and get it painted. All right, guys, it's dry. It's ready to go back on. Now, the customer called me today. He wants the car back tonight. He's got something he wants to do with the car tomorrow. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock this thing out tonight, get this job done, and then we're gonna work on those brakes at another time. So let me go ahead and get this thing knocked out, and I'll show you guys what it looks like in just a few minutes. Well, all right, guys, there you go. It looks pretty good. I'm gonna bring you guys in for a close-up, but before I do, I want to talk to you about the paint for just a second. Does it match 100% perfect? No. Does it match really good? Absolutely. It matches great. What I did was I had the paint supplier that I used to come down and take a picture of this paint. They took a photo of it with a camera. It's called a color eye, and what it did was it gave us a closest match rating that they could find to the formula that this car was mixed with when it was originally painted. The color eye gave us a 7 out of 10 match rating, which is really, really good. If you get a match rating of, say, a 3 out of 10, it's probably not going to match. This one matches pretty good, but what's the problem? Why can't you get it 100% perfect? I'll tell you why. Because this car is painted with a paint line called Nason. All right, it's painted with Nason. I believe it's going to be the full base system that it's painted with. I'll try to insert a picture right here of the paint label that was on the can from the original paint job. Now, the problem with it is you can see right here on the label that it tells you that this paint is an approximate match. I don't know off the top of my head exactly what the label says, but I'll put the picture in so you can see it. But the problem is, if you don't use the Exalta paint, which is the high-end line, it used to be DuPont, now it's called Exalta. And if you don't use the Exalta and you use the Nason, which is their lower-end paint, their toner banks are a little bit different. So what happens, it's the same as using PPG's DBC line, which is their high-end, versus using PPG's Omni line, which is their low-end paint. Their DBC line from PPG has more toners in their toner bank, and they're able to get a little bit better matches on it. On a Omni paint job, your paint match is kind of approximate. It's just not exactly 100% always true to the original color. So when this car was painted, it was painted with that Nason line. Now, that Nason paint, it's not 100% true to that original factory color. Now, if you parked it right beside another car of the same color, you wouldn't tell the difference. But when you try to put one panel up against the other really close, and one's painted with the high-end brand and the other one's painted with a lower-end brand, you're going to end up seeing a little variance in the color. And that's what's going on with the lower valence or the lower apron that we just replaced. We got a 7 out of 10 match rating, but I had to use the camera to get the color because I couldn't just mix it in the original formula and just hope that it would match. So we had to use the camera. The reason I couldn't is because I don't use that Nason paint that's on this car. I use PPG in the shop where I work. I use PPG. So we couldn't just go to the PPG cheaper brand like Omni and just mix it up and expect it to match the Nason that's on this car now. It may not. So what we did, use the camera and use the higher end paint. I used the DBC line from PPG to try to get the closest match I could using the camera to search the database for all the different color formulas and get it as close as I could. So hopefully that didn't sound like a lot of rambling, but I just wanted to make sure that I just got that in there. So all you guys who have been following my channel will know that paint never 100% matches. Even if you were to mix the same paint that's on the car now and you used a different guy to mix it on a different day in a different store on a different toner bank, still not going to match 100%. They never do. But a 7 out of 10 is really close. And guys, I'm extremely happy. So let me show you guys a close-up, and then I got to call my customer. All right, guys, that's it for this one. Hope you guys like the way the repair turned out on the front of the Mustang. If the customer's happy, that's what'll make me happy. So appreciate you guys watching. We got more videos coming up on the channel. We've got videos on the Model A coming up. I've been working on it lately. The 92 Mustang coupe, I changed the transmission in it. Got some stuff recorded on that, so I'll be having a video on the little 92 coupe coming up. We got plenty of stuff to work on. Appreciate you guys hanging out. If you've not subscribed to my channel by now, please do so. Hit that like button. That really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. They really like it when people click like. So go ahead and click like on the video, and I see you guys in the next one.